So here's what we did, guys. We built a dashboard, and you will want to get your hands on it. So here's how it works. So right now we have two charts. This second chart I built last night. The first chart I built on Monday. So clearly more charts to come. But each one of these you can play with for quite some time. A lot of opportunities to explore. Let's talk about this first chart. This first one is the one that some people have seen on social media, where I'm measuring this year's visa issuance versus an average, a running total. Running total means that this month here, that average sum, 9,347 visas were issued. And in 2025, this year, 9,179 visas were issued. You'll notice the next number moves up. It's not because more visas were issued in October than in September. It's because we're adding the amount issued in October to the amount issued in September so that this chart keeps going higher and higher and higher. The way these two lines perform, that average sum, we're looking at everywhere, I think from March 2017 to April 2025. And the reason why we stop at April is because we haven't been able to find that May data yet. As soon as we get it, add it to this chart, and then you'll have the average May compared to this May. But yeah, so you can see this when blue is on top, that means that 2025 is underperforming the average year. When orange is on top, 2025 is outperforming the average year. And so you can kind of go in here. Let's say we'll look at Australia. So Australia, it's kind of been going back and forth, a fairly average year. It's just now reaching up. Let's look at Argentina. Argentina is having a much better year than the average country. You can see here that 927 visas were issued this year. That's the orange line, and only 738 are issued in the average year by this point. So that's quite a nice increase. You can use this chart. Let's say you want to look at for market selection. So I had someone on the call who was asking to look at Brazil, thinking about going to recruit there. We decided based on this large gap where this year's underperforming the average year, now's not the time to be entering the Brazilian market if you're looking for any sort of turnaround in a year or two. If you've got 5 years and you believe Brazil is going to, be off to the races in a few years, sure, that's fine. So you can use this for market selection. You can also use it for forecasting. So, for instance, the countries that I recruit in, Bangladesh is outperforming. Let's see, I want to now go down here to Nepal. Okay, got Nepal there. Nepal is outperforming, and Pakistan. Pakistan is outperforming. What this tells me is that I can expect this coming fall to be far superior to an average fall for us. So, for instance, this is nearly double, right? So I can expect that my enrollments are going to be very strong for the fall. This isn't looking at apps. This isn't looking at admins. This is looking at F1 visa issuance. We will ultimately probably create a dashboard for M visas and J visas, but at this point, we know F is pretty much everyone's bread and butter, and so that's what we did. So I can use it for forecasting. I can use it for market selection. But last night I was busy bee, and I made another chart, which I think will be interesting for another reason. So this is the top countries by region. This is a top-down approach. We talk about top-down. We want to say, how are the continents looking? How do the regions look, right? And this chart has two things it's measuring. One, the length of the bar is showing the volume of visas issued. So in India, I know that 17,403 visas were issued so far this year. The color is telling me that the gap percent, that means the gap between that orange line and the blue line in the other chart, if it's negative 20%, negative 0.2, right? Negative 20% percentage, it's going to be red. If it's 20% or greater, right, than the average year, it's going to be green. And if it's somewhere in the middle, it's going to be gray. So for instance, India, you can hold your cursor here and you see the gap percent is negative 0.18. Just to give you an idea of what that looks like. You can go here and say we want to look into it a little more closely. And there we go. We have nearly a 20% underperformance to the average year.
Could we talk a little bit real quick what the average summed is versus the year 2025 summed, how far back the data goes?
Yeah, back to 2017 when the State Department started issuing this data, I believe it's in March. And so we added up all the Marches, came up with an average, added up all the Februaries, the Aprils, the Junes, the Julys, came up with averages, and then we just added the average for this month to the previous month, average of this month to the previous month, and that's how we make it so that we have a, this large ascending, up and to the right chart. And so, for instance, you'll notice between October and December, this is a powerful time of year for India. Uh, you can see that by the slope of this chart. If you remember, slope from what middle school, right? Rise over run, I think is the formula. So you know that this is the important time in for India, whereas you might say it's not for other countries. And all of this is based on just that summed average. So, for instance, Iceland, November to January is its big run up. And then summer is obviously huge. So, as that data comes in, it'll be important. Does that answer your question, Ted?
For sure, for sure. Yeah, let's move on.
Okay, so over here, so I can see that India issues the most visas. China's following. I can see that India is definitely not doing so hot. I can see that China's not doing that bad, actually. Maybe China's going to improve in the next year or two. I don't know, but I do know that Vietnam and Nepal are just rocking and rolling. And I can do it where, let's say, I'm thinking about adding some markets in Asia. Asia looks good. I've got Vietnam and Nepal. Well, that's Southeast Asia and South Asia. So let's go look at Southeast Asia. It's a great story there, right? I can see Vietnam, Burma. I believe Burma was put on the travel ban. So that would be the kind of thing you'd want to look at. We'll make a travel ban chart for sure. Thailand, these things look good. If I wanted to look at South Asia, I can combine these two and I can have all of them. So India, I'm definitely not going to be going to build out right now, but maybe Vietnam, Nepal, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Thailand would make up a nice little portfolio for my fall recruitment if I wanted to recruit in these two markets, and I would be doing much better than the average bear, I believe is the expression. So anyway, so that's how that works. It's cool, it's fun, and you can get your hands on it. How do you do that, Ted? How do they get their hands on this? It's a lot of fun. I enjoy building it, but I also really enjoy playing with it.
Well, there will be a link in the description of this video. And if you're receiving this by email, there'll be a link in that email to go to enrollmentcharts.com. I think it's slash become a client, but you can also get to it just by going to our website, enrollmentcharts.com. And it's $1,000 a year to get our access to our quarterly calls. And we're throwing this dashboard in for free, which we think is really awesome. But I've
Yeah.
got one more question for you, Jay. Uh, is this
Yeah.
it, or what else? I mean, is this all we get with the
No,
dashboard, or are we going to be
no,
adding to
no.
it? What's going on?
So I built I built this chart last night, okay, before I binged Shogun. I don't know, whatever. I like Shogun. Anyway, so I built this last night. I built this on Monday. So if you could just forecast that rate, I think that's what you're looking at. So I wouldn't be surprised if next week there's two other charts here. Maybe in a month you might have five charts. Maybe in a few months you might have eight. So I mean, this is the gift that keeps giving. It's like we've already talked about how we have all the data for educational levels. We have the data for the average cost of tuition that people can pay. We're going to be building out all of this. So that people like you and I and others that want to join us can dive in, get a real sense of what things look like, and build that strategy up as best as possible. And we
Yeah.
also
So if
look at internal data too, but that's a whole nother conversation, right?
during our call, we had a few questions and a few comments, and that are kind of helping us think through some other ways we want to approach the data on the chart, how we might be building it out. We, in previous calls, if you've attended any previous calls, you might have seen something called EC scores or enrollment chart scores that really help you zero in on an area that
Right.
might be beneficial to your school, we're going to add those to this dashboard as well. And then, of course, like Jay just mentioned, the internal data. And, that's something that we can help you with one-on-one. Just reach out to us. We'll find a time that works to meet with you and see what your needs are and see if we can help you out with that. So help you with your strategy and revamp your international student enrollment. So yeah, it's very cool. We're really excited about it.
It's fun to be a nerd. All right. Well, thanks everyone. Talk to you soon. Data's king.